Come with me on a journey to talk about questions and the power of questions. Would you believe me if I told you that losing my house and hundreds of thousands of dollars became one of the best things that ever happened in my life? You're probably saying, no, that sounds crazy, right? Here's the thing. It wasn't the loss that transformed my life. It was learning the power of the questions you ask yourself. Hi, I'm Stephanie, her money coach, and I'm so excited you're here today. If you clicked on this show today, you are wondering about the power of questions, and we have you covered. So let's dive in. So I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my son. It was a glass circle table. We had papers everywhere. And we had gone through every scenario, every possible option of how to keep our business running. And we realized based on the data that we needed to walk away from our franchise business or we would just be in worse shape. Every day we were losing more and more money. We had worked 2 hard years. We had our dreams in this, our home was part of it, and it was gone. And the shame, the self-doubt, the fear was paralyzing. But nonetheless, we had to look at the reality of the situation and make some hard decisions. And that's where questions come in. So today I'm not here to dwell on that story. If you've listened to my show, you've heard some version of it because that's why I'm here. I'm here because I've been through financial setbacks, through a divorce, through corporate career changes, through walking away from my business. And I truly believe that our mindset and our questions are what help us get through those setbacks. And I just don't think you get to be in this life without coming upon some challenges and most likely some financial challenges. So today we are going to talk about the exact questions that took me from feeling like a complete failure to discovering opportunities I never knew existed. If you're facing a financial setback right now, whether it's a divorce, a failed business, or bad investment, this could be exactly what you need. So, why are questions so important? Questions are like a compass for our mind. When we ask a question, your brain goes to work immediately in search of the answers. It's automatic, it's unstoppable. You're asking questions and your brain is searching for answers. It's now putting the intention to have those questions be meaningful so that your brain can search for answers that help you and don't hurt you. Most people don't realize that the quality of their questions determine the quality of their answers and ultimately the quality of their life. Imagine you have a business, like let's say you have a cleaning business and you're cleaning houses and you're doing okay. You're feeling kind of stuck, kind of bored. And you ask yourself, if someone was going to pay me $1 million to clean this house, how would I do it differently? That question could be very powerful because if you really leaned into that question, you would be thinking, okay, what corners would I refuse to cut? What extra touches would I add? If someone was truly paying me $1 million to do this job right now, I would give it my all. I would put everything into it. I would show up in a much different way than if it was just a regular ho hum day, or if my questions were, why do I have to do this for a living? Or why does this person's socks smell? You're asking yourself all kinds of questions. So if you are doing a job, if you're doing anything, writing a book, whatever you're doing, if you ask yourself, if someone's going to pay me $1 million to do this, you're going to show up differently. That question helps you have different answers and show up in a different way because you see what happens is your standards instantly shift. Your imagination kicks in based on the power of that one question. So the one question during my financial setback with the business that changed everything for me was, what do I need to do so that within the next 3 years, I can say this crisis was the best thing that could have ever happened to me? And I got that question from the book Positive Intelligence by Shazar Shaming, and I'm probably not saying that right. Shazard is a Stanford researcher who has done so much research and work around this idea of positive intelligence. And he also consults with large tech CEOs and other kind of important people. And in his book, he describes that he was consulting with big CEO who had had a big hit. Maybe he lost all of his money in his business. I can't remember exactly, but it felt kind of similar. And he asked that CEO that question, what do I need to do so that within the next 3 years I can say this crisis was the best thing that ever happened to me? And that resonated so deeply with me because at the time I was asking myself a lot of things like, why did this happen? Why didn't I see it coming? What is going to happen? What am I going to do? That's not very inspiring. It doesn't put your brain to work on coming up with some really big actions. But this question that he posed in his book really that puts my brain to work. TikTok. We have 3 years to say this is the best thing that ever happened to me. What this question did, it was very powerful. It shut down those inner critics that were yapping at me. And it moved me from feeling paralyzed and stuck to feeling kind of inspired. What is possible? I don't even know. My perspective has to grow. As I was working to come up with the topic of the show about questions, I thought if someone is struggling with a challenging situation right now, let's just provide some questions, some positive questions that are powerful that can help you start thinking through and start applying this right now today. So, question number one, and you don't need to write these down. We have created a PDF so that you can just download it if you want to. But one question is, what resourceful decisions have I made in the past when facing financial pressure, and how can I apply those strengths to today? This is powerful, but what you're doing is you're getting confidence. You're looking back on your life and other situations. Like for me, I could look back 18 years to my divorce. That was a huge financial hit, a lot of emotions, a lot of stress, and I learned a lot. And I learned a lot of skills and I learned a lot. I learned to be resilient. And I can take those things that I learned from that past situation and I can apply those and they can give me confidence that I'm strong, that I know what to do, that I figure things out. So take things from your past where you were resourceful, where you were decisive, and take those strengths that you have, that you had in that situation, and apply them to today. The other thing I talk about a lot, which is just taking one manageable step forward, one story is forward. So the question might be, what small manageable step can I take today that moves me toward my financial goals? So if you're in a financial setback, what is one small money thing you could do? Is it look at a bill? Maybe there's all the bills, you're paralyzed and you can't even look at them. Open the mail. Maybe that's the next step. Maybe the next step is working up a spreadsheet. Maybe the next step is whatever it might be. There has to be one doable, manageable step that you can do. Find that out. That will help you move forward. That question will help you. Another question that might help you is how might this step back be preparing me for something even bigger? How is it giving me a lesson or an opportunity? And that's hard to think about because you're stuck in what am I going to do right now? If you step back and just think about what you might gain, how this could possibly open up opportunity for you. Just think about it. Another question that helps me a lot, and this can be very hard for people, but this is very powerful for me. It is, what am I deeply grateful for in this current financial situation, even amid all of these challenges? And I will tell you, I had to lean way into this because I felt like my world was closing down. But in fact, I had so much to be grateful for. I had strong real estate investments that I had for 20 years. And I had money in the bank. I had a great job that creates a lot of income. It wasn't fun. I lost a lot of money. It wasn't great, but I was so grateful for all the things I did have. And one of the most things that I'm grateful for is because we had to sell our house and we needed to live somewhere while we found a rental. My daughter was off for Christmas break, coming home for Christmas for the month of December. And obviously, my son didn't have a job at the time because he had been working on our business. So we took that opportunity to pack up our 2 dogs in our car, drive to California, and move all of our stuff into storage, and we lived in an Airbnb on the beach in Southern California for the month of December. We spent time surfing, we spent time walking, lots of dog walks, lots of games, lots of cooking together. It was priceless. That month with my adult children, we could never orchestrate that again. They both work. There's no way any of us are getting a month off to go somewhere together. That would not have happened if it weren't for having to walk away from my business and having to sell my house and looking for opportunities to turn this shitty situation into something amazing. Now, it didn't change the situation. I still had to work through all the decisions, all of the things, but that month, no one can take that away from me, and I am so grateful. Okay. The next question is who in my network has achieved similar financial goals and what could I learn from them? And there this meaning who in your network has, been successful and then had a big bump, big setback, and then came back. And what can you learn from them? And I'll tell you one that I love is I'm gonna say the name wrong. The book's called Lost and Found, and it's by Gwennon Roth, and I'm probably saying that wrong as well. But this book is great. She and her husband were millionaires, very successful, and she lost her life savings, everything, in the Bernard Madoff debacle. If you don't remember, Madoff was the shyster guy who took all these investors' money, and basically it was a Ponzi scheme, and they all lost, I think, millions and billions of dollars. And she digs deep into how it was from going from like millions to nothing and talks about all of her learnings and her way back. And so this is what I mean by looking at other people's stories. And they don't even have to be like in your network per se. Might be a book, a podcast, a YouTube, a movie, whatever it might be. There's plenty of people out there who might have a similar situation who that you can resonate with and take learnings from. That's what I'm saying. The other thing that questions do is they change your perspective. So, one way to really change your perspective on your situation is to imagine yourself at 80 years old. So, you're 80 and you're looking back at this very moment, this time, this setback, this challenge. What would you say about how you're handling it? What are you doing? Are you proud that you had the courage to start a business? Are you proud that you made the hard decision to leave a toxic marriage? What are you saying to yourself? And if you think about it this way, like if you're 50 and you look back at something that happened in your 20s that at the time seemed insurmountable to you. At 50, you look back at it and you're like, okay, that was nothing compared to X, Y, or Z that you went through. It's that same idea. You're separating yourself from where you are right now. You're taking the wisdom of your future self and asking, how am I doing? How am I handling this? How might I want to do things different? And that will help separate you from the emotions that you're dealing by being right now in it. This shift in really looking at the questions I was asking myself really led to so many expected gifts during a challenging time. And I just want to offer that up to you. I've created a free journaling prompt PDF with some and more of these questions that we're talking about, and it's in the link below. So I'd love to share that with you. And I'd love to hear from you. What powerful questions have helped you through a difficult time? Share in the comments because your powerful question might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Remember, I think this was in Shazard's book, that your mind is your best friend, but it also can be your worst enemy. Your mind isn't always truth. You can question all of the things in your mind. And the question to ask yourself will determine which one it becomes. It will determine if your mind is searching for your good and your best friend, or if it's working against you as your worst enemy. Friends, if this helped you in any way, please subscribe, leave a rating and review. And if you know someone who this might help, please share. This might be information that really helps them today. And don't forget to download the free journaling prompt, share with whomever you want. And remember, you have the power to change your financial future. And I'm cheering you on every step of the way.